Hey y'all, we are back for another one. So today we are doing my August spinner wheel TBR, and I am so excited for some spooky books. So I've got a lot of books that are coming out soon. So they come out the last week in September. So I'm filming this video like a little bit early. It's September 20th, so filming it a little bit early. But I've got a bunch of my anticipated reads that are coming out on Tuesday. So we've got Alchemized that's coming out, Primal of Blood and Bone, Eldritch came out 2 weeks ago, and I haven't read that yet because I've been bogged down with all my magical readathon books. We've got Road Trip with a Vampire that comes out on Tuesday. We've also got Mate by Ali Hazelwood, which is the second book in the Bride series, and that comes out the first week in October. And then we've also got Accomplice to the Villain, which came out in August, that I still haven't been able to read, that I really friggin' want to read. So I've got a pile of hopefuls here that are some spooky books and then some books that I'm looking forward to. And then these ones that haven't come out yet that are coming out in the next like 2 or 3 weeks that I want to try to get on the TBR as well. I've got Alchemized coming in my fairy loot box. So I'm hoping that that will get here in October, but it might not in time for me to actually read it in October. So we'll just have to see with the shipping date on Alchemized. And then I want to read Dracula. I tried to read Dracula, I don't know, this was a long time ago, probably 15 years ago, and I made it like, I don't know, maybe less than halfway through, and I just wasn't loving it. So I want to try again. I want to try to read Dracula again. So I don't know if I need to read the book and listen to an audiobook or what, but I want to try to get Dracula on the TBR too. And then, you know, just some witchy, spooky Halloween reads because it's October. It's one of my favorite months of the year. I live in Georgia and it's still rather hot in the middle of the day. It is cooling off at night though, and the mornings are cool as well, but it still is getting into the mid to upper 80s, if not the low 90s in the middle of the day. So it's still pretty warm here. But the leaves are falling, so my oak tree is shedding a lot of leaves, so that's lots of yard work. But let's go ahead and get into the spinner wheel. So if this is your first time watching one of my spinner wheel TBRs, I have different spinner wheels for different prompts. So I have a spinner wheel that's specifically for audiobooks, and that's mostly books that I've just wanted to listen to or the audiobooks have been recommended to me. And the reason I specifically spin for audiobooks is so that I know I have ones to pick from for that month instead of, let's say I land on or pick Accomplice to the Villain. Well, I know I'm going to read that book physically. So I don't want my whole TBR to be only books that I have physically, because I know I listen to at least 4 audiobooks a month. So I want to make sure I have those on my TBR. So I spin that wheel 4 different times. And then I spin a different wheel. I call it my 2025 TBR wheel, but that's just books that I've wanted to prioritize in the year of 2025, or series that I want to start, or series that I need to continue. And then also I put on there the special edition books that I get in my Fairy Loot and Illumicrate subscriptions and Book of the Month, just so that I actually try to get a chance to read those. I also have slices on the wheel that are a shelf spin. So I have a different spinner wheel that has a bunch of different numbers on it that coordinate with the number of shelves that I have. So then I randomly pick a book from one of the shelves. And then I have a genre slice where I have spin another wheel for a different genre, and so on. So it's really fun and I really enjoy it. This is one of my favorite videos to film. So let's start off with spinning the audiobook spinner wheel 4 times for my October audiobook TBR. Okay, so let's go ahead and spin the audiobook TBR wheel 4 times. Okay, and we get Circe Okay, so this is a book that the audiobook was recommended to me, and so that's why it's on this spinner wheel. Let me pull it up on Goodreads. And Circe is by Madeline Miller. Let's read a little bit of the synopsis. So, in the house of Helios, god of the sun and mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. But Circe is a strange child, neither powerful like her father, nor viciously alluring like her mother. Turning to the world of mortals for companionship, she discovers that she does possess power. The power of witchcraft, which can transform rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. Threatened, Zeus banishes her to a deserted island where she hones her occult craft, tames wild beasts, and crosses paths with many of the famous figures in all of mythology, including the Minotaur and his doomed son Icarus. So, that sounds really good. A little bit of Greek mythology going on. And I've also been wanting to get to Circe for a while. So let's go ahead and spin for the second audiobook. And the second book is a genre spin. Okay, so let's head over to the genre wheel so that we can pick a genre. Okay, so let's go ahead and spin our genre wheel for book number 2. And we get dystopian. Okay. I have a good book in mind for dystopian. Okay. All right. So let's spin for our third audiobook. Ready? Go. And our third book is Cletus book number 1. Okay, so these books are by Penelope Reed, and she wrote the Knitting in the City series and also the Winston Brothers series. So Cletus is one of the brothers in the Winston Brothers series, and Penny Reed, her name is Penny Reed. Penny Reed wrote a spin-off series about Cletus and his wife Jennifer. And so the first book in that series, which it's called Solving for Pi, is going to be on my October TBR. So let's go ahead and spin for our fourth and final audiobook. Okay, and our fourth book is a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. Okay, awesome. So a couple months ago, it was in the summer, I read, or rather listened to, Malibu Rising, and I really loved that book. I really, really enjoyed it. It's been my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book so far. So I think, because I read Malibu Rising in the summer, I think I should read Carrie Soto is Back to kind of follow up on that, because Carrie Soto is in Malibu Rising. At the end of all the spins, I'll pick a dystopian book. So our first spin was Circe by Madeline Miller. The second spin was a genre spin, and we got a dystopian book, so I will pick that at the end once we're done with all the spins. The third spin was Cletus book number 1, which is Solving for Pi. And then our last spin was Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think I'm going to pick Carrie Soto is Back for that one. So let's go ahead and switch to the other spinner wheel and pick our 6 physical/Kindle reads for the month of October. Okay, so there was an update to the app that I use for my spinner wheel. So now it doesn't actually list all the different things on the pie slices. It just has lines. So it doesn't have the words, it just has lines. I don't know why it's done that. It hasn't done that for all of my wheels, only some of them. So honestly, I have no idea why. It's kind of annoying, actually. So we're just gonna spin and only know what might be close once it picks, because we can't read any of the words. Let's go ahead and do our first spin for our physical books. Okay, we get a random Goodreads pick. Okay, so basically what that means is I go to my Goodreads want to read list, which is extensive. So on my want to read list on Goodreads, I have 1,677 books. So that's quite a few. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, I guess leave it by date added and just scroll. Oh, I should screen record this. Okay, let's get the screen recording going so you guys can see. And I'm just gonna keep scrolling, and then it has to, you know, load. So let's just keep scrolling down. See which book we get, and it's loading and loading and loading. Okay, let's see. Trying to get back into the depths a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick this book right here. Guys, how did I choose Accomplice to the Villain? You guys see, I wasn't even looking at my phone when I chose, and it chose Accomplice to the Villain. How lucky is that? How lucky is that? Like, how does that happen? Random Goodreads, scroll. And I got the book that I've been dying to read. I'm shocked. I'm so shocked. How did this happen? Okay, you know what? It's the fates. It's the fates that wanted me to read this book. All right. Accomplice to the Villain is the first book on our physical TBR as a random Goodreads pick. That's just so lucky. All right, let's go ahead and spin for our second book. Let's see what we get. And it's Babylonia. Okay, so Babylonia was on my TBR last month for August, I'm pretty sure. And so now it's back on. Okay, awesome. Let me go grab it. Babylonia by Costanza Casati. And this was the book for January 2025. So beginning of this year. And we've got Babylonia as the second book on our TBR. Let's go ahead and spin for our third spin. For our third book. It is our third spin. Oh gosh, okay, we get Mistress of Lies. Okay, so this was on the TBR a couple months ago as well, and I did not get to it. So, Mistress of Lies. And I think that's by K.M. Enright. Okay, so I was correct. It is K.M. Enright, and this is the this is the Illumicrate edition of this book, and it's got these beautiful sprayed edges and some beautiful end paper art and a really pretty naked hardcover. So this is the naked hardcover, and it is so pretty. And then we've got these beautiful illustrated end pages and the back. So I think this was July, and the second book, the Illumicrate edition, the Illumicrate edition of the second book was up for pre-order. So I decided to read a little bit of this to determine if I wanted that book or not. I ended up not ordering the second book. So if I read this and I like it a lot, I'm gonna be pissed because I didn't order the second book. But Mistress of Lies is on the TBR. So let's go ahead and spin for our fourth book. And so far we have no Kindle books on here. So maybe we'll get a Kindle something. Okay, spin number 4. A KU book. Did I not just say, let's get a Kindle book? And it's a KU book. Okay, I have a KU spinner wheel as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and spin for a KU read. And we get Credence. Okay, Credence. Not what I thought I was going to be reading in October, because I had different plans for this book. So, we'll see. I might not read that one in October, even though it's on the TBR, because I had other plans for that book. But Credence was picked for a KU book. So let's go ahead and go back to the 2025 TBR wheel and do spin number 5. A book published in the 2010s. Okay. Well, unfortunately, it's not either of these other two hopefuls that are sitting next to me, because those are newer. Okay, a book published in the 2010s. So we'll pick that one at the end, along with the dystopian audiobook. So let's do our last spin, our 6th and final spin. Why do these videos always go so fast? I don't know. Okay, last spin. Rose in Chains. Rose in Chains. Am I gonna get to read all of the Harry Potter fanfics in August and September and October? Rose in Chains. Okay, let me grab it. Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. This is a Fairy Loot edition, and it's so pretty with the sprayed edges. I'm excited about this, you guys. I'm excited about this. Here's the naked hardcover. And then the reverse dust jacket is the original cover, just in a different colorway. And then, and paper art. Draco and Hermione. Oh my gosh. Ugh, I've been dying to read this book. I am so excited about this. So excited about this. Okay, so let's go through our picks and what we got. So, Accomplice to the Villain, which is the 3rd book in the Assistant to the Villain series. And these books are so funny, very satirical and hilarious. So you've got Evie Sage, who is the main female character, and she is the assistant to the villain, literally. She's the villain's assistant. And the villain is Tristan, right? His name is Tristan? I hope his name is Tristan. I hope I'm remembering that correctly. And he's a villain, but he's not really a villain. He's actually pretty nice. I mean, he does kill people, but so he's kind of like Dexter. So is he really a villain? Morally gray? Maybe morally gray. Him and Evie get into some stuff. And there's a dragon, and there's a dragon trainer, and there's magic, and there's a lot of stuff that's really cool. And it's funny. And you've got Kingsley, who's a frog, but he's hilarious. Kingsley's my favorite character in all these books. I highly recommend this series. They're really, really good. If you like kind of funny, very, very extreme slow burn. I think they kissed twice in the last book or something. I mean, like super extreme slow burn, but funny, kind of low-ish stakes, not anything crazy, but these books are so good. So 3rd book in that series, which just came out in August. Then we've got Babylonia. Babylonia across the centuries has become the embodiment of lust, excess, and dissolute power. In this world, you had to kill to be king. Or in the case of Semiramis, an orphan raised on the outskirts of the empire, queen. Nothing about Semiramis's upbringing could have foretold her legacy. But when she meets a young representative of the new Assyrian king, a prophecy unfolds before her, one that puts her in the center of a brutal world and in the hearts of 2 men. Love triangle? Or white shoes? You know, I just read one and it was really good. So, 2nd book on the list. 3rd book on the list, we spun and got Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. And this is about vampires. So, the daughter of a powerful but disgraced blood worker, Sean LeClaire, has spent her entire life perfecting her blood magic, building her network of spies, and gathering scraps of power. Now, to protect her brother, she assassinates their father and takes her place as the head of the family. And that is only the start of her revenge. So, blood magic, vampires. I have heard mixed things about this book, so I will make my own determination. We got a KU book and spun Credence. But like I said, I have other plans for that book. So we'll see if it actually gets read this month, but Credence. And then we got a book published in the 2010s, so we need to pick that. And then we spun Rose and Chains by Julie Soto, which is a Harry Potter fanfic that was just traditionally published. And I'm super excited to read it. So, the war is over. The dark forces have won, and the hero who was supposed to save them is dead. AKA, Harry Potter died and Voldemort won. After watching her brother die and her kingdom fall, Princess Bryony Rosewood is captured by the enemy, stripped of her magic, and auctioned off to the highest bidder. She's sold to Tovin Hurst, scion of the powerful and devious Hurst family, and her secret infatuation. So, Draco. But Bryony can't submit to her feelings. A secret rebellion is brewing, and she must escape to join it. So, the order is rising again. Now, am I a huge Harry Potter fan? Yes. If you haven't watched many of my videos, you might not know, but I am a huge Harry Potter fan. So I am super excited about that fanfic. So let's go ahead and pick a dystopian audiobook. And I've kind of already been thinking about it, and I already have an idea. So for a dystopian audiobook, I'm going to pick The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. And I have the Audible exclusive edition. I don't know. I love the TV show. Like, absolutely love the TV show. So I'm so excited to read the book. So the last audiobook is going to be Handmaid's Tale for a dystopian book. So we had Circe by Madeline Miller, then Handmaid's Tale, then Cletus Solving for Pie by Penny Reed. And the last one is a Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and I'm going to listen to Carrie Soto is Back. So those are our 4 audiobooks. Let's go ahead and pick a book in the 2010s. So how I do that is I go to my 2025 TBR on Goodreads, which are just books that I want to prioritize in the year of 2025. And I'm going to sort it by publication year. And books in the 2010s are books published in 2010 through 2019. So let's go ahead and see. So I've got on here Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks, Whiskey Beach by Nora Roberts. I've also got Wicked Charms by Janet Ivanovich, Untamed by S.E. Stevens, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, Twisted 26, which is book number 26 in the Stephanie Plum series by Janet Ivanovich. Those are the ones that I've got on my list. Okay, let me decide. Okay, so I've decided that the book I'm going to read that was published in the 2010s is Twisted 26 by Janet Ivanovich. So this is the next book in the Stephanie Plum series that I'm on. And I'm obviously quite behind because I think this year she's coming out with number 32, I think. So I'm a little bit behind, but this is the next book in that series with Stephanie Plum and Morelli and Ranger and Lulu and Connie and Grandma Mazer. How could I forget Grandma Mazer? Twisted 26 is the last book on our TBR. So we've got all 10 books picked, and I also have plans to read a few more spooky books, so we didn't really get any spooky books on the list. Accomplice to the Villain is the only one. So I'm going to read a couple of spooky Halloween books, and then also on the list we've got Primal of Blood and Bone. Primal of Blood and Bone comes out next week, or it comes out on Tuesday, and that is book number 6 in the from Blood and Ash series, and I have been reading all of the previous books and all of the Flesh and Fire series in preparation for this book, so I'm obviously going to be reading that book in October. I wanted to read it at the end of September, but I just don't think my pre-order will arrive in time for me to actually finish it in September. So that book is also on the October TBR. And then we still need to pick a year in Eldia book. So for October. So let's go ahead and I will pull up the map to see where we need to go. So right now we are on 9B, and the only spot we can move to is 10B. So there's really no either or. So we're going from 9B to 10B. So let's go ahead and see what the prompt for 10B is. Meet entry wardens. Ah, finally. The gates to the capital of Dark Meadow, but you get stopped by the wardens. This city has strict entry rules. You'll have to convince them to let you in. Read a debut novel. So, a debut novel. Should we try to get a spooky book for our Year in Eldia book? I think that might be a good idea. Let's see. I've got 2 books sitting here next to me that were hopefuls, and one of them I know is not a debut. Let's see if Dreadful is a debut. This is the Barnes & Noble edition, and I've been wanting to read this. So Dreadful is going to be my Year in Eldia book for October, which is awesome. So, got another spooky read onto the TBR. This synopsis kind of reminds me to the Assistant to the Villain series about how it's kind of funny. It's bad enough waking up in a half-destroyed evil wizard's workshop with no eyebrows, no memories, and no idea how long you have before the dread lord whomever shows up to murder you horribly and then turn your skull into a goblet or something. It's a lot worse when you realize that dread lord whomever is you. Gav isn't really sure how he ended up with a castle full of goblins or why he has a princess locked in a cell. All he can do is play along with his own evil plans in hopes of getting his memories back before he gets himself killed. But as he realizes that nothing, from the incredibly tasteless cloak adorned with flames to the princess, is quite what it seems. Gav must face up to all the things the dread Lord Gavrix has done, and he'll have to answer the hardest question of all. Who does he want to be? So, seems kind of funny. This will be my Year in Eldia book for October. So, here are the physical books that are on the TBR. We've got a couple with sprayed edges, and then we've got audiobooks and Kindle books. So, pretty good TBR for the month of October. Really, really excited about that. So excited about that. So in October, I will be having a Halloween reading vlog. So stay tuned for that. That will be in a couple weeks. And then I will see you for next week's video, which should be my September reading wrap up. So thank you for watching my October Spinner Wheel TBR video. Please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.